Guys, welcome back to the RLI Six Man's podcast here on the Rocket League Ireland YouTube channel. It's your host, Enrong here, and I'm joined today by a very special guest. He's actually the league leader in Division 4 at this moment in time, so he's going to be our expert on Division 4. Ruffs is joining me on the desk today. Ruffs, how are you keeping, man?
Going good, man. Going good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely no problem at all. Ruffs, let's get straight into it. I'm going to do a quick roundup of the Division 4 table very quickly. You're obviously on top on 15 points at this moment in time. And you're joined by
Yeah, just
Aaron.
about.
Yeah, you're joined by Aaron there on 14 points just behind you. Cheds is on 11, John 8, Jammy's on 6, Breedors and the Alternator and Cowardly Viking are all on 5 with Joseph on 3, Smoke Jesus and Brown are on 0, and the other 4, Dimitrov, Panoptic, Big Chungus and Mr. Pablo. Big Chungus is no longer in the division, by the way, are all on -1. Ruffs, what are your thoughts on the table so far? Can I get a quick reaction from you?
It's been an interesting division to say the least. A very close one, to be honest. Most of the games are like reverse sweeps, 3-2 series. Every game's a close one, really.
So you're a big fan of the L reverse sweep, or is it like your worst nightmare? Or have you been on the receiving end more or less?
We've had a lot of reverse sweeps myself, so good for me.
Okay, good for you. Fantastic. Great. Ruffs, what we're going to do then, we'll come back to individual player thoughts in a second, or sorry, maybe towards the end of this 20-minute video.
Yeah, of
We're going to look at the stats firstly, and if you keep an eye on the sheet with me, I'll be moving
course.
things around there firstly. If you look at column L, that's points per game. We're going to take a look at that one first, guys, for everyone of you watching. So keep an eye on that column there. It's already sorted by that column, of course. Ruffs, you are number 1 in that column, so this is fantastic. You know, you get to talk about yourself in a positive light here. Maybe ignore yourself because you're a massive amount of points ahead of everyone else, almost 80 points ahead of Browntown, who's only played the 3 series, I believe. No, he's played 4.
Yeah.
Ruffs, what are your thoughts firstly on the points, and I'll give you mine then.
Uh, I've played the most games in the division so far. I think I'm one ahead of John at the moment. So naturally, I probably would have more points per game.
Well, no, not necessarily. Not points per game, I would say. If you'd obviously have more points than that, but like points per game is always an average. Yeah. Would you say that? I mean, John's at the bottom, for example. Would you say that it's reflective of the skill level that you're showing in the division?
Um, just I'm banging a lot of goals, I suppose. That probably contributes heavily to my points per game.
Hmm.
A lot of
And
assists as well.
perfect. And is there anyone you've seen that's kind of impressed you based off of the points per game? Is there anyone is it a fair reflection of the skill level of the division? And I ask this more not as a an insult to John because we all know how I all love John. John's a great man, 225 points. But is this a relatively good guide?
I'd say it's more or less accurate, to be honest. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay,
Maybe
perfect.
one or two were a bit low on the points, but
The rest are all fairly solid.
yeah, the rest are up there.
Okay. Let's go to the next one then, Ross, very quickly. Let's hop on to assists per game column end, guys, for those of you who are watching. Ruffs, you're, you're also number 1 in this, actually. Looks like you're going to be
Yeah.
number 1 in a lot of things. I always say anything above. Sorry, this is assists. I skipped goals. We'll come back to goals in a second.
Yeah.
Assists, 0.6, and John's on 0.5, Joe 0.5, 3, and Ched's 0.5 as well. I always say anything above 0.6, you're doing a good job. 0.7, you're doing a really good job. And anything below, I'd say 0.4, it really isn't good enough. Would you say again this is because you feel like you're more offensively capable than the rest of the guys? And on the flip side of that, you
Uh,
think players like the Alternator, Viking, Browntown, and Aaron. Aaron's second in the division and he's down there. What are you thinking here?
Aaron is a funny one, to be honest. He's just he gets the points, but it doesn't really show much for it.
Hmm.
Myself, I guess then again, I'm just an offensive player, so John actually make so impressive stuff from John.
Okay, fantastic. Ruffs, we're going to have to stop you there because Discord lagged out. You're going to have to say that last bit again because Discord just
Oh,
decided to
okay.
crap itself. It's fantastic. These things always happen
Good
with a
stuff.
brilliant
Yeah, good
product.
stuff.
Go on, tell us again. I heard the word John at the end, so John was
Yeah.
mentioned.
So John's up there with me for the assists per game. He started off in the division weak, but came into it in the end, and he's actually very impressive with his playmaking capabilities.
Hmm. And on the flip side, Browntown, how much of that guy have you seen? And is that
Brown,
reflective?
Brown, he just needs to be more active. So when he does play well.
Hmm.
He just needs to get involved more.
Okay, perfect. Let's go back to goals per game then, Ruff. Okay, and let's
Yeah.
talk. Obviously, you're going to be happy with me going back to this because this is another one of your shining lights, of course. Column M, and again, your top. Brown's actually quite high up here, so you call this right.
Yeah,
Cheds is also
Brown.
very high up.
Yeah, both those players are playing very well. They just need to get involved more, like I said before.
Okay, and is there anything that can be said then for, say, players who are lower down the table, like Smoke Jesus, for instance, who's having, I would say, a kind of poor season in terms of where he is in the league, but his stats are quite good.
Jesus. Let's see here. Jesus. Yeah, again, more about just being more active to really get involved in those stuff.
Okay,
He's been on a losing streak over. Just
and
keep playing.
okay, perfect.
He's shown to be good.
And on the flip side of that, then, do you think that, say, players like Dimitrov, John, they've been kind of struggling on the offensive side? Now, John's obviously making up for it with a good assist per game. We've obviously talked
Yeah,
about that.
John. To be fair to John, he might be up there skill wise, but he's making up for, like you say, with the assists. But for Dimitrov, it's just not really happening for him at the moment.
Okay.
Just he needs to get more games in. It's just not working for him at the moment for whatever's happening. But
Yeah, he'd be one of the, I guess,
yeah,
lower skilled players in the league. He hasn't been playing as much. I don't know if he has, and if he isn't, he needs to maybe grind it out a bit more. But we're not going to talk about goal
yeah,
participation per game because I mean we can kind of see where that's going with the general reflection of players. We're going to go straight on to saves and goals conceded per game. They're both the same stat. What I'm going to do, right, is I'm going to bring up the saves per game stat, and we can talk about both of them. Okay. So
yeah,
you'll
sure,
see here now that the alternator is high. Now, I'm actually quite surprised by how low a lot of these stats are for a lot of players. The saves per game are really low, and there's a lot of goals going in
yeah,
every game, which means the defense isn't particularly solid. But
yeah,
do,
yeah.
do you agree with that?
100% agree with that. Yeah, we just most games have a high scoring game. Most players focus on the offense rather than defense. I find in our division,
Hmm.
and it's clearly reflected here on the saves.
Yeah, and the alternator is having a decent season. He's only played 3 games, of course, a 3 series run.
Yeah, he's playing quite well. Just, like you say, he needs to be more active.
Yeah, he just needs to get the games in, of course, and that's a message maybe I can give out to everyone. If you're listening to this podcast, you have 13 games that you can play maximum. There is no reason why you shouldn't play your 13 games, guys. Make use of the games. That's the biggest message there we have for you. On the other side, we obviously talked about Cheds earlier on. He's quite low down here on the saves per game. Now, he's not conceding many goals because he's kind of in the green. Joe, on the other hand, is low down and he's conceding a lot of goals, or more so. What do you think here? Do you think these guys are more offensive based again? Is it a problem? Should they play more defense? What do you think?
I yeah, I think Joseph is he's a very good attacker.
Hmm.
Sometimes he's a bit unfortunate with matchmaking, but yeah, he's good attacking player. I feel like when I play against him and the matchmaking maybe is slightly unfair, he kind of has to do it all on his own.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
yeah, that's what I can say for Joseph.
Okay, cool. We're gonna come to the last stat then, and it's obviously my favorite one considering I'm the lowest out of all the divisions in this stat. It is of course shooting percentage or roughs.
Yes, yes.
Unfortunately for you, you're actually not top of this one for once. You're top of the shots per
No.
game one. But shooting percentage, that's not the same. We can't really see it actually on the screen that we have there. Let me just narrow this down a little bit. I wonder will that help? Should do for those guys looking at it on screen. Ruffs Cheds is up there. I mean, look. This is another sign that like players aren't making enough saves for me per game. Is
Yeah,
generally when the shooting accuracy is so high without the players actually doing that much. Cheds, Alternator, Joseph, Breedors, all above 40%. That's a huge shooting accuracy for this division. And the only player that isn't
yeah,
like impressive at all in the shooting accuracy is Dimitrov, and that's reflective of his position, would you say?
yeah. Dimitrov, he's a different man in trees. It's, it's just not working for Dimitrov at the moment. I don't know what else to say about him.
Yeah,
Just play more games, Dimitrov.
yeah. And like, what's he like in twos? Is he solid enough in twos? Is it because he's got more time on the ball? What do you think? He's just
I
able for the
think it's the
speed of it.
timing. Yeah, it's
Okay,
just timing. Really, he's kind of all over the place when it's in one of those 3v3 situations.
okay. So he's obviously got to grind it more, is what you're going to say to him.
Yeah, of course.
Um, you're obviously top of the shots per game there. And like players like John, aka always have like only one shot per game. John needs to get in the offense more. Do you think?
Yeah, John's just doing his thing. He needs to just be more confident, I suppose,
Yeah,
instead of reluctant in the backs.
just go a bit more forward. The
Just
alternator
go.
probably as well. I would say based off of the stats. Um, Ruffs, let's have a look at the table. We're going to
Yep.
go down there now and just have a quick look at it. Have you been happy with your own performance this season so far?
Relatively. I've lost 3 games.
Hmm.
I've nearly exhausted all the games I've played so far, so I got to be cautious with that if I want to get promoted.
Hmm. So you only queue in a day where you think you might be playing good. Oh,
Just take it careful. We have 3 weeks left there to play.
yeah, exactly.
Spread it out.
Okay. And let me ask this question then: who has kind of impressed you the most? Who do you think is probably the best player, maybe other than yourself, clearly in the table, and who do you think is the
Well,
weakest?
yeah. Most impressed, to be honest, is John. Just from how he started the season and just turned it around 360.
Yeah.
Really impressed with him, with the playmaking. And best players, then
Hmm.
I'd say Joseph Brown. Eudorez is up there as well. He's a very solid player. A bit unfortunate at times. Jamie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And who do you think then on the other side of things? Let's not be too mean, because I don't actually no. What I'm going to say is I actually really like doing this, but it's always hard for my co-analyst on the desk to do this. But who do you think maybe could do a bit more? They're not really doing enough. Maybe need to grind it or grind ranked.
Uh, Dimitrov. Sorry, Dimitrov. Keep roasting you, but it's just facts.
It's
It's
just
just not
facts.
happening.
There you go. All
It's just not
right.
happening for Dimitrov.
Based off of the table so far, who do you think is going to promote? You can include yourself in this, of course, and don't be naive and not include yourself if you think you are.
Uh,
Low
uh,
Ruffs. Oh, you've
promotion.
yeah. Discord has died there. Go on.
Um, promotion. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see here. It's just such a funny one because there's still a lot of players who still have to play more games. It's still hard to call because it's such a tight league.
Hmm.
But this is just a really rough guess now. Perhaps Joseph if he plays more because he's very capable. Joseph, if I win my games myself, and Cheds maybe.
Okay. So you're not going to give it to Aaron. Think he's maybe been a bit lucky with the matchmaking, or
I feel like he's been very lucky with the matchmaking.
okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
no heat intended there.
And I guess it brings me on to the next question. If do you think all of you will be able, the ones who you think are going to promote, do you think they'll be able for Div 3, or do you think they get found out?
Judging by Div 3 now, I think is it Polly who's
Yeah,
up on top.
Poddy's near the top. Yeah.
It just kind of goes to show anything can happen. So yeah, why not? We could go up there and deal with it.
Fantastic. Okay. And Ruffs, and one final question then in that case. What's your experience been of the 6 months so far? Have you enjoyed it? You've obviously played a lot of games and you've come out of nowhere, so you must be doing something.
Yeah, I'm actually very impressed with how organized the whole thing is. It's
Yeah,
my
let's
first time
go.
ever doing. Props to you and the organization. It's my
Perfect.
first time doing something like this, so yeah, very pleased.
Happy days, happy days. And are you ever going to come to a LAN?
If I can get a bus in time, of course.
Yes, let's go. That's the answer I want to hear. Ruffs, thank you very much for joining me on the desk today. This has been Ruffs, guys, the league leader at the moment for Division 4. Apologies to you guys, and apologies, I guess, to Ruffs and even myself. Discord decided to occasionally die during the middle of this, but you got the most of it anyway, the most points. And yeah, just a big thank you there to Ruffs. And we will see you for the next video, which will be the Division 2 video. Thanks very much, guys. Take care.